Welcome into a late night edition of Celtics Roundtable on CLNS Media. CLNS Media, the leading online provider of audio-visual coverage of the Boston Celtics. Welcome inside, everybody. Coming at you really late on a Wednesday, partially, again, maybe even early Thursday morning. Evan Valenti alongside Matt Ignal and Jonathan Levy. The Kyrie deal is finally done. Kyrie comes to Boston now finally in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, a 2018 Brooklyn Nets pick, and the final piece, the final sweetener, that 2020 Celtics second rounder that's conveyed via Miami. Oh, finally done. We don't have to worry about any more Woj bombs, any more ShamWows, any more Dickie V tweeting out whatever the heck Dickie V wants to tweet out. We are finally done, and I'm thankful for it. The drama's finally over. Jonathan Levy, it's been a while since you've been on the show. Your thoughts on as the deal, it's finally constituted, it's finally done. How did the Celtics do? How did the Cavs do? We'll start with the Celtics. How did the C's do? They get Kyrie Irving. Is that enough for you?
No, it is not enough for me. I'm glad they didn't give up anything else significant. Now that the Cavs did this, what are we going to do? Will we or won't we? It's not like Ross and Rachel here, right? They're going to, this is going to happen. Actually, just like Ross and Rachel, ultimately. But I personally, I'm really glad the Celtics only gave up an extra second-round pick, which is essentially meaningless. So in that way, they did fine. But if we go back and look at the actual deal, I am still really upset about this deal, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. Because let me tell you something, guys. That Brooklyn Nets pick alone is worth more than Kyrie Irving unless Irving becomes a top 10 player under Brad Stevens. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I don't have any reason to believe that. So if it happens, fantastic. But if not, the Brooklyn pick is worth a lot. Jay Crowder is worth a lot. And Isaiah, I know they're saying all these things about his hip, but Isaiah still has value too. I feel like the Celtics overpaid. I wish they hadn't. I love the top of the 2018 draft. I wish we at least had top 5 protection on this pick.
So wait. So you're banking on the 2018 pick being better than Kyrie Irving?
I think the 2018 pick. Wait, no. I think the 2018 pick has more value than Kyrie Irving. It's a little different, right? Because right now it has a range of outcomes for what it can be, including, Donich, Bagley. There's a bunch of really good guys. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I think that value, if you're the Celtics and are ultimately trying to have superstars who can win you titles, I think that pick gets you more likely to win titles, especially in this current Golden State Warriors era, than adding Kyrie Irving. Believe me, I want to be proven wrong, and I just might be, but I don't see how this makes the Celtics significantly better right now. The only thing I see is now we have a point guard on the same timeline as with a bunch of the other potential young stars, and maybe Gordon Hayward. That's great. That's useful. But, if we wanted that, we could have just drafted Markelle Fultz. So Kyrie is more put together than Markelle Fultz for sure, but he's not much better than Isaiah Thomas, not right now. Maybe he will be, but not right now. Is that really enough? We give up a top 5 pick and Zizic and Crowder to get slightly better than Isaiah Thomas and have this younger guy who's locked up for 1 extra year? It just doesn't seem like enough to me.
Well, Zizic and Crowder are cap casualties. The money has to balance out for them to make that work, and that's where that comes in. But Matt and I talked with Coach Nick at B-Ball Breakdown about how Kyrie Irving would fit in the Celtics system, and Nick was pretty adamant, Matt, that Kyrie in a Brad Stevens system would give you similar output, if not better, than what Isaiah's given you, because you have a guy that's, again, a little bit taller, and I hate to keep harping on that, but that kind of matters right now. A guy that's been proven in big games, a guy that does have vision, a guy that can break you down one-on-one, but a guy that has untapped potential in certain areas. And when it comes down to figuring out basketball, Coach Nick is a pretty good mind on that. I'm not really worried about Kyrie Irving giving you back the production of the Nets pick or the production of a hurt Isaiah Thomas, the production of Jay Crowder in the interim of waiting for this deal to come to fruition. Matt, I've gotten to the point where I'm totally sold that Kyrie Irving is a definite and obvious piece the C's needed to add. And I think that, Levy, your point of it's a direction the Celtics have finally picked. They finally picked what timeline they want to be on, and having some closure on that I think is good for everybody involved. Am I wrong on this, Matt?
I don't know. I think of it more in terms of, did the Celtics improve their title chances? Did they improve their chances at getting multiple titles? I tend to side more a little bit with Levy on this. I'm very glad that this very stupid saga is over. It's dragged out way too long. I do think that Kyrie Irving does have more upside to explore. I don't think that's too much of a question for me. But Levy is right that Brooklyn pick represented a ton of possibility, a potential superstar or a potential star. That someone unlike
or
Kyrie,
nothing,
or nothing, but
What do you mean nothing? How could it be nothing?
it could be nothing.
You could draft a bust.
How many
it could
top,
be the 8th
How
pick.
many top 10 picks haven't worked out? Just saying, at least you get a concrete person in Kyrie Irving who you know excels in big games. You know Kyrie Irving, I know with LeBron James as a guy that can help him out, but has at least scored 40 points in multiple NBA Finals games, has carried a team on his back repeatedly throughout the playoffs without LeBron on the floor. So at least you know you're going to a guy back that can be an all-star type player, be an all-NBA type player, and take over big games when you need him to take over big games.
I mean, I think, but when you look at this, like, the Cavs did very well here, right? They got a guy who was on his way out the door one way or another, and they got, an all-star point guard. We'll see how healthy he is this year, but, he's one of the 5 great point guards in the Eastern Conference. They got Jay Crowder on an amazing contract. He's a really good 3-and-D guy. He's going to help out the Cavs a lot this year. The Cavs are still contenders. And are just like a break away from being right there with Golden State, maybe a couple breaks, but they're still contenders, at least more so than probably the Celtics are. And Ante Zizic is valuable, but that Brooklyn pick represents a possibility for them to really reboot their franchise around a superstar or a star or a guy who could bust. So I do tend to agree a little bit more with Levy, but I do think that there's a possibility that a few years down the road the Celtics could be vindicated that they made the right bet on the right guy in the right system. And, maybe we're looking and Kyrie is, second team all NBA a few years in a row or something like that. I don't think that's outside the realm of possibility. So, we'll see.
I mean, I think a lot of Celtics fans have got Stockholm syndrome with this deal where when they first heard it, they didn't like it. And they've been talking themselves into it ever since. And I understand that. I've done that many times with Bill Belichick and the Patriots as well as the Celtics. But I don't know, man. If you're a Celtics fan and you wouldn't have included Jason Tatum in this deal, then I don't know how you can justify saying I would have included the Brooklyn pick in this deal, because I think the Brooklyn pick has more value than Jason Tatum, not less.
What?
That's right.
How?
Because Jason,
you have a known quantity versus a non-known quantity.
He's not a known quantity. He had some good summer league games. Let's keep it together, man. Like the Brooklyn pick potentially is the number 1 pick in this draft. It was, unlike the Lakers pick, it's unprotected. There are superstars potentially waiting at the top of that draft. I just don't see. Yeah, of course. That's what Jason Tatum is too. He's just potential. He's had 4 good summer league games. Let's not act like he's better than all these guys. He's not yet. Maybe he will be. I want him to be. But I haven't seen nearly enough besides him dominate some guys with a bunch of 19-footers. 19-foot jump shots. That's all I've seen out of him so far. That's good. But that's like, I think the Brooklyn pick has more value. Even if you think it has slightly less value than Tatum, if you would include Tatum, I don't see how you could say you'd include the Brooklyn pick.
I just don't get how. Look, I like the Brooklyn pick. I like the top of the next class, but I can't guarantee you that pick's going to fall in there when you're basing that all on lottery odds and ping pong balls and a machine that turns them out. Like the Celtics got lucky by getting the number 1 overall pick of the draft this year and traded it away. They got lucky the fact that the ping pong balls rolled their way, and it not only did it one time, did it several times, according to people inside the room at the draft lottery. You're willing to put that chance up there again? I don't know if I'm willing to do that before the season's even started yet. At least you get back a guy you can sort of build around. And if you look at some of the things that have come out here on Wednesday, I mean, Zach Lowe's piece was fantastic about how this sets Boston up by bringing Kyrie in. You bring a guy in that the NBA knows, and they know that he can handle himself in a certain way, and there's a superstar aspect to Kyrie Irving, and that generates buzz around other superstars in the NBA. How you could piece him with other guys, and other guys are comfortable playing with him in that type of role to build the next super team. I think that the fact that you can bring him in and convince other guys that this is a viable place to play for young superstar players in the league that are starting to figure out where they want to go, I think that in itself is more valuable than the Brooklyn pick.
Didn't we already have that with Isaiah Thomas, though? We just signed Gordon Hayward and Al Horford.
Did you?
Didn't we not? Like we just signed Gordon Hayward and Al Horford in the last 12 months. Those
are the
but
two
Al Horford free agent signings in the history of the Celtics.
Al Horford is 31. Gordon Hayward's younger, but now you get even younger. That timeline comes back a little bit.
Right, but I'm saying you're talking about Kyrie bringing stars to the Celtics. I'm saying stars were coming to the Celtics anyway, and Isaiah Thomas was enough to do that. Durant strongly considered the Celtics. It's amazing. So I just, look, I agree with you on a lot of your points. I mean, I think the timeline thing is really important, and I'm glad we've picked a side on this ultimately. But I just feel like this is a severe overpay, and I want, if Kyrie could become a consistent second-team All-NBA, great. But guess what? Isaiah was already that last year. And I'm not saying Isaiah would be that forever. And Isaiah's older. I know he's 3.5 years older, too. I expect Kyrie will have a better career the rest of the way than Isaiah Thomas. But also, Kyrie has to decide to re-sign with the Celtics. Otherwise, he's gone in 2 years. It's not all free and automatic. None of these things are guarantees.
Yeah. But you don't want to know what is a guarantee, and you know what you don't have to overpay for? You don't have to overpay for Audible.com, which is our sponsor today, the leading provider of premium digital spoken audio information entertainment on the internet today. Audible content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from the leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, and business information providers. You can simply download the app and listen on your iOS device, Android, and more. And Audible is different because of their collection of exclusive originals, short stories, and comedy, plus the best of news, podcasts, and more. Handpicked and continuously refreshed, you can share a book from your library with anybody. It comes with speed control and is a great way to get content on the go. And Audible is now offering you guys, our loyal listeners, a free audiobook with a 30-day trial membership. Just go to audible.com/CelticsBeat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs today. Download a title for free and start listening. It's that easy. Just go to audible.com, again, /CelticsBeat, audible.com /CelticsBeat to get started today. Now, we've gone over exactly what we think an overpay, underpay is. We've gone over both sides of it. Levy, what separates the Celtics today from being a contender in the Eastern Conference with Cleveland, with Toronto, with Washington, and with the Golden State Warriors, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs of the world? What separates Boston from them in terms of being a legit NBA title contender?
I mean, there's very few teams I think that the Celtics are behind right now. Adding Gordon Hayward is an unbelievable piece. Turning all those pieces into Kyrie is not necessarily a bad thing for next year. They may be better next year than they would have had they kept those guys. I'm not sure. The things that Celtics are really going to need, though, I think to be able to ultimately hang with a team like the Warriors, because I think it's just Cleveland and the Warriors. I think the Celtics very well may be the third best team in the league next year. They might even surpass Cleveland, but I'd be surprised. I think they need somebody to rebound the ball at some point. I understand it's been a strategy for years now not to rebound, but I'm ready to actually have someone, catch the ball and, then we get it. And then the other thing is a defensive wing would be great, and Jay Crowder was pretty good at that, but I guess he's gone now. But there are other potential defensive wings out there, even on the Celtics already. Jaylen Brown might grow into that role for sure. So I don't think they're far away at all from being the third best team in the league. Now, we're talking about the best team in the league. Well, they're miles away. I think they still need a superstar like Anthony Davis to do that.
Yeah, a true alpha. I'm in agreement there. I'm really skeptical that Kyrie can really get up to that level. Maybe he could be like he has actually shown that he could be the second best player on a team that wins the championship. But the Celtics probably still need that first guy. I mean, other teams have done it with like a bunch of, there's been like a couple good articles on this recently, like on 538 and Nylon Calculus, about different models for winning a championship. But most of them involve like an alpha, type of top 5 player. I think Levy mentioned the guy. He resides in New Orleans. Certainly getting that guy, Anthony Davis, would make the Celtics like a true strong contender, especially if we're talking a couple years down the road, which is definitely the more likely option. And especially as the Golden State Warriors decline, because I don't think there's really any way that any team's beating them at full strength. But I think we're looking at a big here to really make the roster truly work. Horford doesn't really fit on that timeline if we're really talking about the Celtics window being like 2019 to 2022, 23, something like that. I'm not really sure Horford fits in there, so The Celtics can maybe draft that guy with that Lakers pick. There's a couple of really intriguing bigs, or they can trade for him, and we'll just keep our fingers crossed that Anthony Davis chooses winning over money ultimately.
Yeah, in terms of what makes them a contender right now, I don't think you can go out in the free agent market and address some sort of position of need. Like it's just like you just can't be like, oh yeah, just go sign that guy, and now they're fine. Like no, and if the Celtics are going to be contenders and like legit contenders for an NBA title today,
it's not a chance.
Right. It's got to be internal. It has to be like an insane leap from Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, and Jason Tatum's got to score like 15 points a game off the bench. Like that's a very extreme case of them being a title contender today. Like nobody's gonna be the Warriors. They're unbelievable. They have 4 All-Stars on their team, 4 of the top 20 players in the league, and they all fit together pretty seamlessly, right? So in terms of being a contender today, I don't think that's possible. But like down the road, you look at internal improvements, and you look at a guy like Jaylen Brown specifically, and how Boston has sort of tied their anchor a little bit to Jaylen Brown in terms of their timeline, right? He sort of fits both particular molds more later than right now, but if you were to make that second year or third year jump maybe a little bit sooner than we expect, that could propel them into now this team's really interesting status from like, okay, they're cute, they're nice in the Eastern Conference, they can get to an NBA Finals, but what chance does that really give them if you play the Warriors in the Eastern Conference Finals? Like, do you not get swept? Like that is there a little bit of in terms of is there like a little bit of, can we wave our flag at that? Like, hey, we won 1 game out of 5. Like, way to go, guys. Like, that's not something you're really proud about. You want to actually be competitive. And so what keeps the Celtics from being competitive? Yeah, it's not a superstar type of scorer, a guy that can go out there and get you buckets in any situation.
And defend, because they don't have a ton of great defenders on this team right now. Maybe I'm hoping Jaylen Brown develops into this 3-and-D wing, because that's going to be massive for the Celtics, and that's really going to play a large part in determining how well they play this year and the following years. I'm very worried about this team defensively going into next year. I think losing Jay Crowder is going to hurt.
That's going to be big, and there are roster spots that need to be filled that can maybe address that need, and a couple others with the remaining free days of free agency. But that is a topic for another time. Let's going to wrap it up for this edition of Celtics Roundtable, brought to you by CLNS Media and brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audible.com/CelticsBeat for a 30-day free trial and a free audio download from the great people at Audible.com. If you're watching us on YouTube, do us a favor. Hey, what's up, by the way? Hit the like button below and subscribe to CLNS Media if you're watching on YouTube, and if you listen to us on the go, on your smartphone, whatever, make sure you subscribe to the Boston Celtics news feed. It's available on your favorite podcast app, or you can download the CLNS Radio mobile app, which has more than just us on there. There's Bob Ryan, there's Grant's podcast for financing, Celtics Beat with Larry H. Russell, Mike Petraglia, or Petraglia, whatever way you want to say it. If you want to be Italian, it's Petraglia, whatever. You can find his Patriots Beat on there, Patriots Roundtable, Red Sox Roundtable. We have you all covered in Boston sports right on the CLNS Radio mobile app. Give the Boston Celtics newsfeed a 5-star review on iTunes if you can. Leave us some feedback, whether it's constructive or you want to make fun of Sam Sheehan, whatever, that's fine with me. Also, follow us on Twitter at CLNS Roundtable, and we are now on Celtics Blog. So if you miss us, not sure where to find us, go to Celtics Blog. You will find all of our videos there. I want to thank Jonathan Levy and Matt Ignal for joining me, Evan Valenti, here late on a Wednesday night as we try and bring you the latest and greatest in Boston Celtics news. We'll be back sooner rather than later this week with more things on how to fill out the Celtics roster going forward here in 2017-2018. But for Matt Ignal, for Jonathan Levy, I'm Evan Valenti. We'll see you next time.
I like that. That was a little chippy there.